We're going all the way back. No, y'all over to the staff area to get them out of here. That breathes.
Yeah, forget that.
Good morning and welcome. My name is Matt Crow, an Associate Professor of History and the Presiding Officer of the faculty. It is my privilege to act as Faculty Marshal for today's commencement. Let me start with a public safety announcement regarding our COVID-19 safety guidelines. We ask that our guests remain seated for the entirety of the ceremony, but in accordance with New York State guidelines, and it looks like many of you already made this decision for yourselves, with regard to the heat, you can feel free, if you're vaccinated, to leave your masks off. Okay. Yeah. You're welcome. We begin this ceremony by acknowledging that we are on the traditional territory of the Onondaga, or the people of the Great Hill. In English, they are known as the Seneca people. The keepers of the Western Door. They are one of the 6 nations of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the world's oldest continual participatory democracy. Please remain standing as we welcome to the podium G. Peter Jemison, the site manager of Ganondagan State Historic Site. Mr. Jemison, who will receive an honorary degree this morning, will share with us the Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving address.
Now, Escano Swagwego, I give thanks that all of you are well. It's my privilege this morning to offer these words in our language, Onondaga Gawano. Dendwadanonyo, ni sangwayandatse, ne indeed wasawak, ne ni youngwe dage, o jakwatanonyo, nangan winisade, no januk don hejuhe. Aneho, ne sangwayatse, Wines dad, ganongs hat, noundi ye, known as Saganancho we, wadon etinoe, deo gwansi dagan seko, yoins a day, o jetinonio, sangwajanuk don hejuhe. Ga negadanyo, o negad gaso, o negatin jungwe, ganya dadanyo, o neganoska guego, o jagwatanonio, nanga winisa de, no januk don hejuhe. Anankwas haga guego, o jagwatanonio, nanga winisa de. Ne haigwa sesa o giston datet, ne haigwa yaikni, o jagwatanonio, oyo wana nanga winisa de, no janukta on hejuhe. Dani dako, de wenon dan on de joheko, on now o saita o nyos heko, o jetinonio, nanga winisa de, no janukta on hejuhe. Dani dako nanga winisa de, ganyot da sa, ganyot da wanas, hati wada jita ge, di anode san jace. Nangat winisa de okanonyo. Dani dako nangat winisa de gahado wakta. Anokos hetne genya guideko o jagwatanonyo. Dani dako nangat winisa de diya wenye. Oyo wana diwa wenye nangat winisa de sangwajanuk don hejuhe. Dani dako he gak wenskwa tina dakwa hati weno de jays heat no ko o nega say o jagwatanonyo. Nangat winisa de no januk don hejuhe. Dani dako sadwatsi and kagakwa hodis gangeta goa. Nangat winisa de o jagwatanonyo and deko. Ne haigwa nangat winisa de and kagakwa soika. O jetinonyo nangat winisa de ne haigwa wanon to wisas adiksa sonko. Nangat winisa de no januk don hejuhe. O giston datet o jagwatanonyo ne haigwa Nangat winisa de no januk don hejuhe. Gajison dasia. Dani dako nangat winisa de gainyanum di hadeo ya gayono di yankinat no donjas. Nangat winisa de scanot dwenot denyo. Nangenja goten. Dani dako sedwa go wane genya dayo oyo wane gaiwio nangat winisa de. Nangenja goten scanot dwenot denyo nangat winisa de. Hojanuk don hejuhe okanonyo. Gananda gan okanonyo gut. Nangat winisa de. Gananda say nangat winisa de. Ne haigwa oyo wane. Daya dug with the jan. O jak with the nonyo. Dani ho wane yut dan. Niskad ni going. Dani ho. Thank you.
Please be seated. Robert Cowles, Professor of Music, will now lead members of the college's chorale in a performance of Laudate Nomen Domini by English Renaissance composer Christopher Tye.
Laudate nomen Domini, servi Domini, abortus solis usque occasum eius. Laudate nomen Domini, servi Domini, abortus solis usque occasum eius. Decreta Deus nascit et colex hilara, laudate Principes, laudate omnis populi. Decreta Deus nascit et colex hilara, laudate Principes, laudate Principes, et omnis populi. Laudate nomen Domini, servi Domini, abortus solis usque occasum eius. Decreta Deus nascit et colex hilara, laudate Principes, laudate Principes, et omnis populi. Laudate Principes, laudate Principes, et omnis populi.
Gas people. To preside over today's commencement, please welcome the president of Hobart and William Smith Colleges, Joyce P. Jacobson.
On behalf of the trustees, faculty, and staff, good morning and welcome to the 195th commencement of Hobart College and the 109th commencement of William Smith College. Thank you for being with us to celebrate, 1 year later, the remarkable classes of 2020 and the culmination of their achievements at Hobart and William Smith. I am pleased that so many of you returned back to campus to take part in this commencement celebration. We have missed you and are so glad you are home with us for this milestone. We are honored to have many esteemed members of the Board of Trustees with us today, including the Chair of the Board, Craig Stein, and the incoming Vice Chair, Sana Brooks. We thank them and the entire board for their important leadership. We are also joined by Professor Emeritus Pat McGuire, who served as your president from 2018 to 19. We welcome as well our distinguished guests, who we will recognize with honorary degrees, including Peter Jemison, Peggy Boken Greenewalt from the class of 1966, and our commencement speaker, the Most Reverend Michael Curry from the Hobart class of 1975 and the presiding bishop and primate of the Episcopal Church. I am joined also on stage today by the faculty of Hobart and William Smith, who have dedicated their lives to the pursuit of knowledge and art, and who are committed wholly to developing a love of learning in the minds and hearts of their students. They, along with the staff of Hobart and William Smith, many of whom are working here today to make this ceremony possible, have toiled with purpose and resilience during this year like no other. I cannot thank our faculty and staff enough for their commitment to our students and to our mission. Allow me to welcome in a special way the families of our graduates, those present, and the many others who are watching and listening remotely. Today, as we celebrate the educational accomplishments of these talented students, we recognize that for every one of us, our very first teacher was a parent or family member. Parents and families, your care and support have allowed for this joyous occasion as we celebrate together your students' many accomplishments. And as much as the colleges have provided your child the tools to lead a life of consequence, so too has your child changed the colleges forever in ways that are consequential. We are proud of the difference they have made here and grateful to you for entrusting your child to us. It is a tremendous privilege to convene the exercises of commencement for the classes of 2020.
Provost Mary Coffey and President Joyce Jacobson will now present in the name of the Board of Trustees the first candidate for an honorary degree.
It is my honor and pleasure to recognize the first of this year's honorary degree recipients. In awarding these degrees, the Board of Trustees affirms the values that stand at the core of these colleges: community service, leadership, and a commitment to academic excellence. By selecting distinguished individuals of demonstrated merit and accomplishment to be recognized by the conferring of honorary doctoral degrees, the Board of Trustees, through its Honors Committee, invites them into a special relationship with our colleges. These awards carry the full weight of the history, traditions, and ideals of Hobart and William Smith. They are given with care, with respect, and with an honest affection for those whose lives and deeds we are privileged to honor. I now present G. Peter Jameson as candidate for the degree Doctor of Humane Letters.
In 1985, G. Peter Jemison arrived at Ganondagan State Historic Site in nearby Victor, New York, the location of a 17th century Seneca town. At the time, he was already a celebrated artist with major shows in New York City and collectors across the nation vying for his work. Ganondagan, though, provided Jemison with an unparalleled opportunity. A member of the Heron clan of the Seneca Nation, Jemison has spent the last 36 years uplifting Ganondagan, created a 17,000 square foot Seneca Art and Cultural Center, multiple nature trails, a full-size Seneca bark longhouse, and, most importantly, a place to tell the story of Haudenosaunee contributions to modern notions of democratic government, social equality, women's rights, ecology, and agriculture. Overseeing a wide range of arts and culture programs at this National Historic Landmark, Jemison has created a place of unparalleled beauty and knowledge. Jemison says that the purpose of art is to help people see. Ganondagan, perhaps Jemison's greatest artwork, helps us all see, acknowledge, honor, and praise the history of this land on which we stand today, the people who came before us, and our responsibility to both. Peter Jemison, for the powerful and important artwork that you have put into the world, in appreciation for your expertise on Haudenosaunee culture, your advocacy for its preservation, and your generous sharing of this for all in the community, with deep admiration for your important service as a member of the Board of Trustees of the National Museum of the American Indian, for your steadfast friendship and guidance to Hobart and William Smith, and in recognition of the reminder you provide every day that one person can make a monumental difference in how we honor history and pave a path to the future. It is my distinct pleasure, by the authority of the Board of Trustees, to bestow on you, G. Peter Jemison, this degree, Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, together with all privileges and obligations thereto pertaining.
Thank you.
I now present Margaret Peggy Boken-Greenewalt as a candidate for the degree Doctor of Humane Letters.
At a time when women did not typically major in economics or go into the world of finance, Margaret Boken-Greenewalt defied the odds, earning an MBA from Columbia Graduate School of Business with a focus on finance and marketing, and establishing the experience and expertise that would propel her success. A trailblazer and role model, she conquered the male-dominated finance industry, holding leadership positions at important international institutions, including Citibank, Citicorp, and Monchick Weber. Recognizing that she had the ability to create opportunities for other women to succeed in leadership roles, in 2015, Peggy established a scholarship that ensures recipients can begin their careers free of educational debt. The Margaret Greenewalt Annual Scholarship pays off the student loan debt of one or two William Smith graduating seniors who have made plans for either graduate school or their careers. Imagine being a graduating senior and learning that a donor is giving you the freedom to make life choices unburdened by debt from college loans. It's an extraordinary, life-changing, and profound moment made possible by Greenewalt. Peggy Boken-Greenewalt, in honor of your perseverance and fortitude in succeeding in a career in finance at a time when doing so as a woman was extraordinarily difficult, in appreciation for your passionate advocacy for William Smith students and your commitment to ensuring that women have the ability to succeed, for your important work advocating for greater representation of women in government through your service on the White House Project and your support of numerous arts and educational causes in your hometown of Philadelphia, with gratitude for your generosity to Hobart and William Smith and our students, and for the profound example you set of what it means to pay it forward and lead a life of consequence. It is my distinct pleasure, by the authority of the Board of Trustees, to bestow on you, Margaret Boken-Greenewalt, this degree, Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, together with all privileges and obligations therefore pertaining.
I now present the Most Reverend Michael B. Curry as a candidate for the degree Doctor of Divinity.
It is now my privilege to present an honorary degree to the Most Reverend Michael B. Curry and to introduce him as our commencement speaker today. In the pantheon of our alumni, there are some who rise so high that they capture the attention of the world. Michael Curry is such an alumnus. After earning a degree in religious studies at Hobart, Bishop Curry completed his Master's of Divinity at Yale Divinity School, going on to lead congregations across the country. Ordained a deacon in 1978 and a priest later that year, he has dedicated himself to uplifting the souls and lives of his parishioners. In 2015, Bishop Curry was elected the 27th presiding bishop and primate of the Episcopal Church, making him the head of one of the most influential religions in the world. He is the first African American to hold the church's top leadership office, and he has used his role to advocate for an inclusive, authentic ministry, one committed to racial reconciliation, equal justice, and equal opportunity. In his sermons and his books, Bishop Curry has preached and written about social and economic inequality, ideological division, faith, and how love can offer a redemptive path forward, expanding on the now famous sermon he delivered at the British royal wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Bishop Curry, with the eyes of millions on you, you have delivered sermons that have altered the foundation of our planet's collective consciousness. With respect and great joy, you have pushed us to look at the world with fresh eyes. In the time of a pandemic and in the wake of our nation's urgent racial awakening, you have delivered spiritual sustenance, giving us direction and easing our weariness and sorrow through your message of love. Today, in honor of your life-changing, monumental leadership of the Episcopal Church, with appreciation for your energetic, inspirational ministry of love that has touched the lives of millions of people around the world, for your unwavering belief in the dignity of all human beings, and with great joy that you have found your beginnings at Hobart and Smith, and with the immense pride that you bring to your alma mater every day, it is now my distinct pleasure, by the authority of the Board of Trustees, to bestow on you, the Most Reverend Michael B. Curry, this degree, Doctor of Divinity, honoris causa, together with all privileges and obligations therefore pertaining. And now, to deliver the commencement address, the Most Reverend Dr. Michael B. Curry.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, President Jacobson and members of the trustees and faculty and the staff and all who make this possible, and to all the parents and grandparents and godparents and care parents, and by whatever name they shall be called, all of the family and friends, and to the awesome, incredible, dynamic, remarkable, irretrievable, undefeatable class of 2020. To you, thank you. Thank you. I know that my fellow honorary degree recipients would agree that it is a particular honor to be able to be here with you. And I want to tell you why that matters. Not just for you, not just for your family and loved ones, not just for the faculty and the staff and the trustees and all the folk who make this place happen, but frankly, for the sake of the world in which we live and the country in which we dwell. You matter. This day matters. And what you do going forth from this day matters profoundly. I'm not ashamed to say that these colleges helped to form Michael Curry for whatever good I have been able to do, whatever that was. What happened here helped to shape me in ways I didn't even know until they unfolded. And I dare say you will discover the same for you. When I was probably 12 or 13, and I had a conversation with my daddy. He's now gone on to glory, as folks used to say. That means you done died and gone to heaven. Or at least you hope you've gone to heaven. But anyway, you've gone on. And I was probably 12 or 13, and I don't remember what the conversation was about. All that I remember was that he just blurted out at some point and said, you know, the Lord didn't put you here just to consume the oxygen. Now again, as the father of two grown daughters, having had some of those conversations when they were young, I can assure you that that was not a considered philosophical reflection. That was pure adolescent and parent in conversation. But there was wisdom in it. He was right. Lord didn't put me here just to consume the oxygen. And the Lord didn't put you here just to consume the oxygen. But we are here in part to consume oxygen. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, we consume oxygen. We inhale Oxygen, right? This is basic biology. And we exhale what? I'm sure there's some biological science faculty. So I want y'all to say that with a little bit more vigor. We inhale what? And we exhale what? Praise the Lord. We got that one right. Thank you, Lord. And so we actually do have a biological, ecological purpose. The plant world, they take in the carbon dioxide that we have exhaled, and they release oxygen that we inhale. They give us what we need. We give them what they need. There is a symbiotic relationship between us, and that is true all over the planet. And the better we learn to live together, caring for the entire creation, the better off we will all be. Oh, yeah. So we actually are here in part to consume oxygen. But I want you to notice what my daddy said. I took enough English courses here and then exegesis courses to know how to exegete a sentence, how to unpack it. The sentence technically said, the Lord didn't put you here just to consume the oxygen, which assumes that in some small way, you are in part here to consume oxygen, but you are here for more than that. You are here for more than consumption and acquisition. You are here for more than what you can get. Nothing wrong with getting what you can get. Get it. Don't end up like a poor preacher like me. Go on and make some money. And then when you make it, give it back to Hobart and William Smith colleges. All right? All right? Yeah, we are here for more than just consumption. Now, I'm aware this is not a sermon, and so it's not going to be long either. But it's not a sermon. But if it was a sermon, I might go back and say Moses said it this way in the Torah. He said human beings do not live by bread alone. They need bread. But they do not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. This is not a sermon again, but if it was, the prophet Micah might say it this way: what does the Lord require of you but to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God? Oh, Jesus of Nazareth said it this way: the supreme law of God and the highest end of humanity is to love the Lord your God and to love your neighbor as yourself. Doing that, we will figure out how to take our jangling discords, as Dr. King said, and create a beautiful symphony of God's wondrous humanity. Oh, no, yeah. We are here not just to consume. We're here for more than that, but this is not a sermon. It's a commencement. And so, President Jacobson, I went to the website. And I looked up the mission statement of the colleges: to prepare students not for lives of consumption. Help me, somebody. To prepare students not simply for lives of acquisition, but to prepare students for lives of consequence, lives that matter, lives that make a difference, lives that leave this earth a little bit better because you passed along this way. Can I get an amen from somebody? In the late 1980s and through the 1990s, before I was elected a bishop, I was serving as pastor of a congregation, St. James Church, in Baltimore, Maryland, in West Baltimore. And this was a church, actually you've probably seen it if anybody remembers The Wire, it was on HBO some years ago. A number of episodes were filmed at St. James and in that surrounding area. Well, in the course, we had a community center and parish community center, and we used to have these outings, mainly for seniors, during the summer, about this time of year when the crabs were good. Anybody who's been around the Chesapeake knows what I'm talking about. Now's the time to go out crabbing. And so we would go out, and it would be a group of seniors from the church and the community, and several buses would go, and we'd spend the day at St. Michael's, Maryland, and have a good time, and folk would tour the old town and, eat crabs and drink beer and whatever it is they do. And then they would sit around, play cards, and, do what old folk do. They would just kind of sit around, basically. And so I used to go. I wasn't as old as I am now, but I was younger then, and so I would kind of go around from different tables and talk to folk and meet everybody. And I went up to this one particular table, and there were a bunch of guys there, and they were talking, and turned out they were all World War II and Korean War veterans. Almost all of them, most of them have now gone on to glory. One of them was a Montford Point Marine, the first blacks who served in the United States Marine Corps during the Second World War. Another was a Tuskegee Airman, first black unit to be allowed to fly when folk realized that ideology and biology should not be confused. When folks said black folk can't fly because they don't have the lung capacity to endure the heights and don't have the brain capacity to fly. Eleanor Roosevelt helped them understand differently. He was one of those Tuskegee Airmen. Somehow in the course of the conversation, Mr. A little black child growing up in the rural, Jim Crow segregated South. I saw a plane and I wanted to fly. So when I heard about the Tuskegee Airmen and the war was on, I signed up. And he said, but then the war happened. And we saw it, the horror of it. But we also saw the reasons for it. And I realized that we weren't flying for fun. We were flying for freedom. Freedom for our people who were dispossessed throughout Jim Crow and in the very country for which they fought. But not just for them, flying for the freedom of people who were being put down in Europe and around the world by other people putting their feet on their necks. We were flying for freedom. Tom Brokaw wrote a wonderful book some years ago about this generation of Americans in this case. And he titled it The Greatest Generation. And he said at one point, this greatest generation was forged and formed in hardship. Hardship of a Great Depression. And they learned that life sometimes must live by sacrifice that seeks the good and the well-being of others, sometimes even above and beyond my own self-interest. And he said they may not have been perfect. That generation left the planet a little bit better because they had passed along this way. I want to tell you, my friends, I've never told that story before. As many times as I've preached, I had forgotten about it until I was thinking about you. And then I realized something. Part of your most important formation as human beings has happened in the crucible, not of a Great Depression, but of a great pandemic. Whether you know it or not, and whether we know fully what this means or not, you have been and are being formed and forged in the crucible of hardship. Not yours alone, that of others. And you and the generation of which you are a part have learned and reminded the rest of us about sacrifice. I'm almost finished, so relax. It was June the 1st last year, 2020. I was, in my makeshift office in my home, preparing to go on CNN at 6:30, in the 6:30 hour, Wolf Blitzer's time. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, and Wolf Blitzer is a Buffalo Bills fan. So if there are many Buffalo Bills fans here? All right, all right. Win, lose, or draw, we are Bills fans. But I was sitting at home, but normally you would be in a green room at one of the studios, and just waiting to go on sometime between 6:30 and 7. And so I was just waiting there, and I had the little TV in my home office, so I was keeping track of what was going on CNN. And usually a producer or a staffer will come on, and every 10 minutes or so, they'll let you know you'll be on after the next commercial or whatever it is. They'll tell you, keep your breath so you know what's going on. And so they kept coming on and letting me know. And then about 6:20, 25, the staffer came on and said, Bishop, we don't know what's going on, but something's going on, and it's chaos around here. I'll get back to you. I don't know what's going on. A few minutes later, they came on and said, we think you're going to be on between 6:30 and 7, but we've been at the White House grounds. They're tear gassing the protesters. They're dispersing the crowds. They were marching peacefully, she said. I know. I said, I'm watching on TV. And she said, you need to pray. And then they came back on and said, I don't think you're going to get on today. We'll get you on tomorrow. The president is walking around the White House grounds. And a few minutes later, the president of the United States, after the crowds of protesters had been dispersed, took a picture holding a Bible in front of St. John's Episcopal Church, Lafayette Square. I sent a text to Bishop Mary Ann Buddy, the Episcopal Bishop of Washington, and said, Mary Ann, are you watching TV? She said, yes. Come to find out, she didn't know anything about this until she saw it on television. The pastor of the church didn't know anything about it until he saw it on television. And the presiding bishop of the Episcopal Church didn't know anything about it until he saw it on television. But what struck me about that experience, and this is a nonpartisan statement, so don't anybody get upset. What struck me about that was that the crowds of peaceful protesters had been dispersed, exercising their very constitutional right to lawful and peaceful protest. But what struck me even more was that I realized that after the killing and the murder of George Floyd, a movement happened in this country that I had not seen before. The civil rights movement didn't do this. The Vietnam War movement didn't do this. This didn't happen after the killing of Michael Brown at Ferguson. This didn't happen then. We saw in this country a rising up of a generation of young people. And more than that, they were the most multi-ethnic, multiracial, pluralistic, rainbow children of God that America has ever seen. And you rose up and called on America, America, be America. Stand up for liberty and justice. America, be America. One nation indivisible with liberty and justice, not just for some, but justice for all. America, be America. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all people are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, not by vote of Congress, not by vote of a parliament, not by a priest, pope, potentate, or preacher, but endowed by the Creator with unalienable rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. America, be that. Be that. Then you'll be a shining city on the hill. And this was the generation that didn't have civics in school. But you had Martin Luther King's birthday. A few days later, you'll remember they pasted the name Black Lives Matter Square. And the late John Lewis came to that square and stood for a different kind of photo op. A photo op to bless the generation that showed us hope again. To bless your generation who reminded us of faith again. Faith that the good, faith that the just, faith that the right, faith that the kind, faith that the compassionate, faith that the decent and loving reminded us, as the poet said in the 19th century, in its crucible, truth may forever be on the scaffold. Wrong may be forever be on the throne. But that scaffold, it sways the future. And behind the dim unknown standeth God within the shadow, keeping watch above his own. And so I came here today to say thank you. But I guess I shouldn't have been surprised about you. After all, the Lord didn't put you here just to consume the oxygen. So don't give up. Don't give in. Don't you quit, because it gets kind of hard. Because as Langston Hughes said in the poem Mother to Son, we're still climbing. We must continue to climb. And life for you ain't been no crystal stair. Class of 2020, God love you. God bless you. And now you go out into that world and don't you quit. God love you. Bless you.
Craig Stein, the chair of the Board of Trustees, will now present the Touching the Future Awards.
Bishop Curry, thank you for those inspirational words. Graduates, families, and friends, welcome. Beautiful day today. The Touching the Future Award takes its name from the famous words of Krista McAuliffe, the first teacher selected to participate in the Space Shuttle program and who died in the Space Shuttle Challenger explosion. McAuliffe expressed the sentiments of many teachers when she said, "I touch the future, I teach." In 2004, the Board of Trustees, with the encouragement of Roy Dexheimer, who's with us today, established the Touching the Future Award to celebrate and honor educators from elementary, middle, and high school who have had an impact on our current graduates. From the essays that were submitted by our seniors, 2 distinguished educators were selected. Although they cannot be with us here today because of COVID-19 protocols, let us recognize them. Brandy Alexander, a teacher and athletics director at the Robert F. Kennedy Community Schools Now Academy in Los Angeles, California, was nominated by Val Guayar. George Rooney, the varsity bowling coach at South Burlington High School in Burlington, Vermont, was nominated by Nick McKenney. Brandy Alexander and George Rooney, for your important work as educators, mentors, and leaders, and for embodying the mission of the colleges in leading lives of consequence, Hobart and William Smith proudly honor you with the 2020 Touching the Future Award.
Gavin Flood and Gianna Gonzalez have been chosen to offer their reflections on this important moment in their lives. May I introduce Gavin and Gianna.
Good
Morning
classes
of
2020
members
of
the
Board
of.
Trustees.
Okay, no, we're not going to make you listen to us do that. Although we are a dynamic duo, like Tweedledee and Tweedledum, like peanut butter and jelly.
Like Hobart and William Smith. Good morning, members of the classes of 2020, the Board of Trustees, President Jacobson, our distinguished faculty advisors and mentors, staff and guests. Welcome and thank you for being here this morning. A special thanks to those who worked hard to ensure that we would be able to celebrate together today. You serve as an example of the strength of the HWS community. I am honored to speak today on behalf of my peers. It has been especially exciting to reunite with all of you this weekend after our 15-month hiatus from Geneva. Here we are, a year after our scheduled graduation, masked up, some of us vaccinated, many of us experiencing different emotions, all of us relishing in today's celebrations and grateful to be together to rejoice in our accomplishments. After the year we have all experienced, one filled with tremendous loss, social and political reckoning, and profound hope, we are gathered here to celebrate each other on a day we have looked forward to since our arrival to campus in August of 2016. I remember my arrival to campus that August. I participated in the Pre-Orientation Adventure Program, or POAP. This was a big leap of faith for me. If you know me, you know I rarely walk across campus without a freshly ironed collared shirt and khakis. So, to show up to my first day on my new college campus in a t-shirt, ready to camp with strangers for a week, was certainly unprecedented. I shook President Guerin's hand on these steps wearing this t-shirt, not comprehending its pun until well after introducing myself. Looking back, strapping on my hiking boots, foregoing showers among other nervous first years, and wearing this t-shirt were some of the best decisions of my college career. One of the aspects of Hobart and William Smith that drew me to enroll was the ability to be involved in so many activities beyond my coursework. I will always cherish my involvement in the performing arts at HWS. I met my now best friend and campus busybody, Gianna Gonzalez, by joining chorale, who ended up dragging me to other campus events, from karaoke at the Cellar Pub to indoor cycling in the field house. We all know and have borne witness to Gianna's tenacious enthusiasm for HWS, something that may have only been matched by my student trustee sticker campaign. From being an admissions tour guide to writing some of you up for having tapestries in your residence hall rooms as an RA, I was able to interact with a variety of people across our community. Only the liberal arts could allow you to be a political science, education, and French student by day, and a singer and amateur indoor cycler by night. What I did not expect about coming to HWS was the profound shift in my academic trajectory. I watched way too much Grey's Anatomy in high school and pictured myself as the next Dr. Derek Shepard. That was until I took introductory biology my first year, during which I realized that life sciences looked way better on television than they did in the classroom. And there was no such thing as a blonde McDreamy. Thanks to the liberal arts, I was enrolled in a political science course and an education course concurrently with my biology class that year. Now, 5 years later, I will become a history teacher to middle and high school students this fall. Had I gone to another institution where I was bound to an area of study from the time I applied as a high school senior, I would have been an unhappy and probably a pretty bad doctor. I imagine many of you had similar epiphanies at the colleges, which were often inspired by the passions of our professors, whose deep knowledge and love for their subject were impossible to ignore. These aspects of change, flexibility, and understanding are what defined our time at Hobart and William Smith. The liberal arts were more than just admissions buzzwords. Our national political landscape changed in 2016, an election that for many of us was our first. I remember the halls of JPR, which served as sites of political debate, fury, and celebration. We have seen immense change on our own campus since 2016. New spaces constructed like the Pool Family Sports Dome, the LGBTQ+ Resource Center, the Bizzuto Center for Entrepreneurship, and a renovated Saga. Downtown has changed. We said goodbye to businesses like the Flounge and FLX Live, and welcome new establishments that richly defined our time in Geneva, like Twisted Rail and the Finger Lakes Welcome Center. We saw the increased visibility of the faculty and staff email listserv, one that became active thanks to the Reply All function and the theft of Professor Robertson's candy bowl from her office in Demarest Hall. Arguably most visible today, we saw the evolution of leadership at HWS. After 4 presidents, thank you to President Jacobson for being here to celebrate with us as our longest-serving president in recent years and our first woman president. So, friends, we are the classes of change, uncertainty, and flexibility. We have changed as humans, learners, and citizens under the comfort and support of the HWS community. We have witnessed change on our campus, in the Geneva community, in our country, and in our world. Yet, having grown and lived with you for almost a quarter of my life, one thing remains certain to me. To use the words of the decade, we are the classes of resilience and strength. Undoubtedly, we will continue to experience uncertainty throughout our lives. If there have been any benefits from the past pandemic year and the previous 4 years together, it is this buildup of strength and courage amidst these changes that will carry us through. Thanks to our collective growth over our time at Hobart and William Smith, I know we will continue going with the flow. So, classes of 2020, I encourage you to strap on your hiking boots and forego a shower here and there, because we all need a bit of change. And who knows what that change will bring? What I do know is that we are all prepared to take it on. Be proud of the change you have overcome and the strength you possess to tackle life's future changes. I will always be proud of us. Congratulations and thank you.
Who else remembers choosing their FSEM? I remember reading through the list, just knowing my social life would be affected by the choice I made. Nonetheless, I was really into Marvel movies at the time, specifically Thor. So when I saw the title, Comparative Mythology, I thought, I'm about to meet some weirdos, but at least I'll enjoy the class. And I did. I met weirdos who are still some of my best friends today, like Hugh Nick McKenney and Hannah Bassett, and really enjoyed the class. My FSEM professor, Laurence Eroussard, quickly became my favorite person on campus and the advisor for my English major. Who else remembers the person who stood in front of or behind you when we lined up on this quad, waiting to shake President Guerin's hand? I stood behind Kate Cox, but funnily enough, I never really knew Kate, who is part of our graduating class today. So hi, Kate. I hope all is well. I also remember that Ethan Lucian Miskovsky was there. I'm not sure if he was a few people ahead of me or directly behind, but I certainly remember how friendly and funny he was. Little did we know that we would go on to survive Music Theory 220 and the college's chorale together. Thank God for Ethan. Who else remembers or can identify when they peaked? Embarrassingly enough, I think I do. And it happened when I was in OM my sophomore year. Gavin and I were part of the Spirit Squad, and we stood on the corner by the HWS sign and screamed at the top of our lungs, embarrassing new first years by trying to get their families to honk for Hobart and beep for the Herons. I met so many new faces in our class that weekend, like the fantastic Sammy Legg and the one and only Duraj. Who else remembers your first class on your first day of first year? An intro to writing and rhetoric with Professor Green, I became fast friends with 2 girls who I'm still obsessed with to this day, Anna Flaherty and Lauren Downs. Our boarding school connection made me feel like I was home, and they still feel like home to me today. Who else remembers having your first class with your favorite professor, and then taking a new class and meeting your new favorite professor, and then graduating with like 5 or 10 favorite professors? Thank you to the Media and Society and English departments, specifically my advisors, Professor Arusard and Professor Burdett, for guiding me and adding classes and professors to my favorites. Who else remembers those people who it felt like you had every single class with? Whether it was Spanish, German, or Media and Society, Luke Millspaw was always there for me, literally, from our first semester to senior year. Like many of you, I'm sure that this list extends to way more than one person, so I have to add Mallory Wright and Jenna Golden. Who else remembers going abroad? Whether it was the excitement when you found out that you got into the program of your dreams, the inevitable fear when you stepped off the plane, or how annoying it was to come back and you still weren't 21. There was a mix of emotions that apparently shaped me into who I am today. If you did or didn't study abroad, do you remember how frustrating it was when your best friend studied abroad at a different time than you? Or how relieved and joyous you felt when we were all back together again, senior fall? Does anyone else remember when you met your best friend? I met Gavin Flood at the variety show at the Smith Opera House. He lived on J3, and I lived on J2, the best floor in JPR, obviously. And we have been inseparable ever since, as you can tell, since he followed me up here for this speech. Did anyone else cry when they found out that we weren't coming back after spring break? I certainly did. But I feel so lucky to have all of you here today, a year later, to show what the class of 2020 is all about. This is what I love about HWS and our class. There are so many of us here to show our love for HWS and Geneva. Even if we didn't really know each other or speak that often, we most likely all have a memory with almost everyone here. Thank you to each of you for the light and happiness that our small memories bring to me, and hopefully to you. Thank you.
Provost Mary Coffey will now present candidates for the Master of Arts degrees, and the President will confer those degrees.
Will the candidates for the degree Master of Arts in Teaching at Hobart and William Smith Colleges please rise and remain standing? I have the honor, President Jacobson, to present for the degree of Master of Arts in Teaching with honors and praises to be mentioned, the candidates now standing before you who have completed the requirements accepted by the faculty for that degree.
By the authority delegated to me by the Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the degree of Master of Arts in Teaching of Hobart and William Smith Colleges and admit you to the community of its graduates with all the rights and privileges therefore pertaining.
Did they come? We're supposed to do this later. Yeah, you have to go back down.
We got a master's, but we can't figure
I know. So, we're going to get it to you. I promise we'll get it to you. So, pardon me for that.
Provost Mary Coffey, I hope, will now present candidates for the college experience certificates, and the President will confer those degrees.
So we confer degrees across the way for all of the students, and then group by group we'll bring you up, I promise. So at this point, let me just say, will the candidate for the college experience certificate at Hobart and William Smith Colleges please rise and remain standing? Joyce? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I have the honor, President Jacobson, to present the candidate for College Experience Certificate. The candidate now standing, or was standing, before you has completed the requirements accepted by the colleges for that certificate.
By the authority delegated to me by the Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the College Experience Certificate of Hobart and William Smith Colleges and admit you to the community of its graduates with all the rights and privileges thereto pertaining.
The Dean of Hobart College, Scott Brophy, and the Dean of William Smith College, Lisa Kainzig, will now present candidates for degrees, and the President will confer those degrees.
Will the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Science please rise and remain standing? I have the honor, President Jacobson, to present for the degree Bachelor of Science, with honors and praises to be mentioned, the candidates now standing before you, who have completed the requirements accepted by the faculty for that degree.
By the authority delegated to me by the Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the degree Bachelor of Science of Hobart and William Smith Colleges and admit you to the community of its graduates with all the rights and privileges thereto pertaining.
Congratulations. You can sit now. Thank you.
Will the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Arts please rise and remain standing? I have the honor, President Jacobson, to present for the degree Bachelor of Arts, with honors and praises to be mentioned, the candidates now standing before you, who have completed the requirements accepted by the faculty for that degree.
By the authority delegated to me by the Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the degree Bachelor of Arts of Hobart and William Smith Colleges and admit you to the community of its graduates with all the rights and privileges thereto pertaining.
Congratulations. You may sit.
President Jacobson, the Hobart and William Smith students for the Master of Arts in Teaching will now come forward to receive their diplomas.
Now we're going to do this.
Please note that for this ceremony, the names of every single graduate will be read so that we can honor those in attendance both physically and virtually.
Cassidy Ann Carafiello. Alyssa Sydney Kelly. Pippa Delight Kula. Kenesha Phillips. Michaela Alexandria Peavy. Laura Ruth Rollins, Sarah Grace Underwood, Avery Mills Wickersham.
President Jacobson, the student in the College Experience Certificate Program, will now come forward to receive her diploma.
Rebecca Phyllis Ritter. I have the pleasure of reading the name of Rebecca Ritter's sister, class of 2020 graduate, Sophie Parker Ritter, magna cum laude.
President Jacobson, the Hobart and William Smith students will now come forward to receive their diplomas.
All righty. Claire Hallie Abelson, summa cum laude. Julia Accioni. Caroline Ruth Ackerman, cum laude. Madeline Megan Adams. Amir A. Ahmedin.
Zoahib Ahmad.
Najina Ahmadi. Hamdan Ahmed.
Max Bernard Aiello.
Elizabeth Alexakos. Muriel Catherine Allen. Samuel Alexander Allen, summa cum laude.
Israel Ralphie Almastica Feliciano.
Samuel Tyler Andra. Joshua Nutting Andrews, summa cum laude with honors in physics. Tanner James Arnold. Jeremy Wilson Z. Atwater. Geneva Diana Ballo. Leland Elizabeth Hill Barclay.
Benedict Andrew Barnes.
Joshua Edwards Barnes, summa cum laude. Rachel Marie Berry. Lyndon Bascom Jr. Hannah Elise Bassett, magna cum laude.
George Nicholas Bauer.
Amanda Renee Baum.
Ryan Babineau. Ian Campbell Beckley.
Magna cum laude. Tamari Nino Audrey Bacowry, cum laude. Olivia Constance Bennett. Tai Ling Bay. Morgan Billichek. Jonathan Edward Billings. Alexandra Lee Bilodeau, magna cum laude. Hannah Danielle Binney, summa cum laude. Agnes Spear Bissell, cum laude.
Jack T. Bizub.
Caroline Stone Blackett. Olivia Ann Block, magna cum laude. Ava Blumberg. Isabel Jane Boone. Madeline Bossity.
Robert Anthony Batoni.
Brooke Elizabeth Boyer. Emma Bracken. Zoe Bradley. Max Nathan Brodheim, cum laude with honors in physics. Abby Elizabeth Brown, summa cum laude. Ethan Bailey Brown. Kelsey Catherine Brown, magna cum laude. Meredith Lee Brown, cum laude. Hadley Elizabeth Browning, cum laude. Allie Laurel Bruckner. Amanda Marie Bruja. Alessandra Christine Bryan, magna cum laude with honors in biology. Stephanie Nicole Buchel. Samantha Ruth Buckenheimer, cum laude.
Peter Lawrence Burke. Newton Jones Burkett. Matthew Randall Burnett, summa cum laude. Lee Kai, Yusung Kao. Ryan Joseph Carey, cum laude.
Alexander Cariotti, magna cum laude. Elizabeth A. Carlson, magna cum laude.
Richard John Karen.
Genevieve Mary Carpenter, cum laude. Lindsay Catherine Carr. Allison Elizabeth Carroll, magna cum laude.
Nathan Carey.
Ethan Michael Case.
Alexander John Casper. Jacob Anthony Catalio.
Eva Olivia Cantanzariti, magna cum laude. Sarah Marie Kavanaugh, cum laude. Yamalith Sedino with honors in women's studies.
Patrick Michael Sarasia. Colby Elmore Chase. Julian Denicourt.
Cum laude.
Cum laude. Aaron Gabriel Cohn. Alexander Joseph Cohn, cum laude. Cameron Lewis Colburn. Peter Ryan Collins.
Celadid Cologne.
Stephen Kent Combs. Adrian Condell. Raymond James Conley. Alexander Charles Connell. John J. Connors.
Madeline Elizabeth Conroy, summa cum laude.
Ryan Clark Conchafter.
Emma Jane Consoli, magna cum laude. Catherine Joy Consoli, magna cum laude.
Spencer Constable. Sammons Corbett.
Jack Connor Corey.
Tristan Andre Cornell Roberts. Miles Stewart Kornman. Parker Welsh Kornman. Colton Burke Carview. Austin Reed Cottom.
Alexander Tibbetts Cottrell, magna cum laude. Catherine Jean Cox, cum laude.
Reed Michael Krobach.
Carlos Jesus Cruz. Leslie Valerie Cuellar. Ian P. Cummings. Aurora Jane Cunningham, magna cum laude. Alexandra Ann Curtis, summa cum laude, with honors in Russian language and culture and honors in comparative literature.
John Alexander Sakansky. Rickson Dye.
Molly Elizabeth Daly.
Matthew Francis D'Angelo.
Lillian Garner Dash.
Omari Christopher Davis.
Hadley Claire DeBrine. Alexis Riley Decker.
Andrew Rocky Delachichi. John Stephen Delasante. Patrick James Delfa. David Gerard DeLuca Jr. Samuel Bishop Denny, magna cum laude. Brandon Michael DePaulis.
Michael Rowan DiBenedetto, magna cum laude. Catherine Hanson DeCara.
Chase Sebastian DiMichelli.
Molly Jane Devine.
Alden Doak. Devin Doblin.
Margaret Scott Dolan. Harriet Gillette Dorian.
Peter Dotson.
Lauren Catherine Downs, summa cum laude.
Parker Dotson. Garrett John Downs. Alexander Raymond Dublin.
Alan Isaac Dubrowski.
Kyle T. Easton. Samuel Scully Eaton, magna cum laude.
Riley Elizabeth Edgar. Matthew Ellerkamp. William Elliman.
Grant Andrew John Emerson, magna cum laude, with honors in international relations.
Brianna Emilian. Chloe Marie Emler, summa cum laude.
Binjo K. Emmanuel. Carmen Emmy III.
Joseph Sondak Estrin. Chloe Stacia Ethier.
Toby James Eveleth.
Davida A.M. Ozung, cum laude. Elizabeth Marguerite Fajardo, with honors in classics. Cameron Hallamore Faulkner. Renee Campbell Fancher. Shinhee Renee Fang. Bailey Denovan Fanning.
Nimer Faherd.
Adam Hamdi Raymond Farid, magna cum laude.
Jason Feinberg. Colby Fenn.
Meredith Sheeds Fennell, summa cum laude. William Wadsworth Finley II. Madeline Ann Fitzwilliam. Anna Grace Flaherty, magna cum laude.
Brady Flannery. William Griswold Fletcher, summa cum laude. Edens DeAndre Florizard.
Gavin Joseph Flood, cum laude. Madeline Cecile Flood, summa cum laude. Catherine Ann Foley with honors in biology.
Axel Mallet Forsgren.
Elizabeth May Forsyth, magna cum laude.
Brian James Fraga.
Lydia Monique Gabrielle Frazier, magna cum laude. Mackenzie Jennifer Frazier. Abigail Frederick, summa cum laude with honors in English. Christine Marie Fromageau, cum laude. Emma Grace Gallagher.
Lester Leonel Gomez.
Elizabeth Grace Garrison. Caitlin Rose Garrity, magna cum laude. Addison Brooks Gilbard. Jenna Danielle Golden, cum laude. Jessica Lynn Goldman, magna cum laude. Gianna Felice Gonzalez, magna cum laude.
Christopher Arthur Good. Michael F. Goulart, summa cum laude with honors in international relations. Patrick Steele Gray.
Stafford Olivia Summers Grayson. Alexandra Lee Greenberg.
Tucker Grout. Hector Guzman. Brian S. Hafner.
Julia Elizabeth Hagopian.
Samuel Andreas Hallgren.
Grace Noel Hammett. Morgan Elizabeth Hamre, magna cum laude. Brandon Isaiah Harding.
Lucas Brown Harris. William C. Harrison, cum laude. James Roger Hatch.
Mary Ellen Healy. Madeline Elizabeth Hebert. Gigi Herberg. Chelsea Taylor Hare, cum laude. Andrew Thomas Herman.
David Birch Hewitt. Todd Fairchild Hindman.
Samantha Morgan Herkler, cum laude.
Jack Henry Hladky.
Emma Geraldine Hobaika, magna cum laude.
Joshua James Hobaika. Ryan Hoffman.
Ryan Thomas Hogan.
Eric Wallace Holden.
Margaret Ravenel Hollister, summa cum laude, with honors in theater. Frederick Joseph Holmes. Emma Honey, cum laude.
Randall Shire Hooper. Cameron Robert Hubbard. Colin Vincent Huggins, cum laude.
Audrey Clark Hunt, cum laude.
Wian Gerard Hurley.
Brianna Marie Hersey, summa cum laude, with honors in biochemistry. Hattie Heitla.
Marshall Elliott Ireland.
Jasmine Jackson, magna cum laude.
Robert Johnson Jacoby.
Madison Grace Johnson, magna cum laude. Paige Lillian Jones, cum laude. Wade Gaddison Jones. Mary Margaret Joyner, cum laude.
Walter Tyler Jury. Rizki Karim Kafrawi, magna cum laude with honors in biology. Brandon Kahari.
Sophie Maya Kaufman, cum laude. Bridget Mary Keene, cum laude.
Kieran Edward Keene, cum laude.
Katie Inez Kellogg. Caroline Kelly, magna cum laude, with honors in anthropology. Anna Thayer Kennedy, magna cum laude. Nicholas Rashid Khan. Liza Ellen Kiernan. Evan Kenneth Kiffner, summa cum laude. Alyssa Kilkenny.
Charles Alexander Kilvert IV.
Kate Alexis Klimaszewski. Kelly Dowd Klimzik. Ryan Michael Klimkluwicz with honors in music. William Mackenzie Knight. William Baylor Knox.
Christopher Andrew Kukovich. Andrew William Coons.
Cum laude. Cum laude.
Cum laude.
Lindsay Jane Cornfiend. Jacob Lee Kocher with honors in geoscience. Emily Krebs. David Andrew Krimmel.
Nicholas Carter Lafferty. Bartholomew Corin Lahif. James Patrick Lampert.
Sao Shun Lan.
Max Andrew Lang.
Kan Fung Lee, cum laude with honors in psychology. Alicia Levitt, magna cum laude. Anna Marie Leffler, magna cum laude. Samantha Erica Legg, magna cum laude.
Tucker James Light.
Carson Tyree Lennon, cum laude. Eileen Catherine Lent, cum laude.
Jonathan Tucker Lesko.
Michael Edward LaValle. Jordan Eliza Levy.
Anna Mae Lewis. Michael Dean Lewis. Brandon Lowell Liebnick. Jessica Danielle Leitz. Kevin Lynn, magna cum laude.
Sao Jin Natty Lin, magna cum laude.
Zhenyu Lin.
Annika Catherine Linden.
Ellis Adams Lynn Smith.
Magna cum laude.
Jesus, thank you. Sarah Margaret Linzer. Cum laude. Rose Jiaochu Lipman, cum laude. William Henry Livingston IV, summa cum laude. Henry Cole Lockwood.
Clara Lombardi, magna cum laude.
Claire Fahey Long. Andrew Edward Longo.
Gabriela Alexa Lopez.
Emily Elizabeth Lorimer. Victoria Elizabeth Loshusen.
Emma Jane Labsky Lonergan, cum laude. Emma Rose Lubrano.
Sam A. Lucchesi. Christopher James Lucore.
Cum laude.
Nicholas George Ludoff. Elena Ann Ludwig, cum laude. Ethan Lucian Miskovsky, cum laude. Jan Ma. Lawson McDougall.
Magna cum laude with honors in international relations.
Donald Christopher McElroy, magna cum laude. Colin Connor Rydell, maxa, magna cum laude. Grace Mara Maley, cum laude.
Victoria Elizabeth Malmus.
Maris Clark Malinowski, cum laude. Joseph Thomas Mallon. Jesse Arthur Maltese, summa cum laude. Rui Mao. Lukian Maratovic. Sarah Lynn Marino Babcock, magna cum laude. Caitlin Michelle Marshall, cum laude. Ian Martell. Eve Brayland Martin, cum laude.
Haley Lauren Martini, cum laude. Isabel Carrington Mast. Ana Maria Mazarigos.
David Michael McCarthy. Sean Edward McCarthy. Ara Elizabeth Williams McCorkle, summa cum laude with honors in sociology. Matthew James McCutcheon. Dylan Whitman McDonald. Daniel Quinn McFeeters. Samuel Francis McGinty. Amelia Elizabeth McGowan, cum laude. Colleen Brady McGowan, magna cum laude. John Arthur McGowan. Madison Christine McEntee, cum laude. Colin Nathaniel McKay, magna cum laude. Hugh Nicholas McKenney, summa cum laude. Sinead McManus. Morgan Samantha McMinn. Tegan Patrick Meehan. Gabriela Marie Mendez, cum laude. Thomas Mercier.
Michaela Helen Meyer.
Matthew Nicholas Milliken. Luke William Millspaw. Thank you. Lucas Lockwood Mishler, magna cum laude. Hugh Mitchell. Jocelyn Grace Midigai. Colin Way Malloy. James Thomas Monaco, summa cum laude.
Michaela Marin Montgomery, summa cum laude. Elizabeth Ann Moore, magna cum laude.
Anna Frances Moreau, summa cum laude. John Morris. Samuel Henry Muller. Jiraj Mukamala.
Maura Ann Mulligan.
Michael Cloud Munger. Caitlin McGann Murphy.
Mary Murphy. Shannon Carey Murphy.
Gregory Tura Narzikul, cum laude. Carolyn Ryan Nash. Claire Finn Naylor, cum laude.
Emily K. Newman.
John Daniel Ninavagi. Zoe Catherine Niver.
Inez Nunez.
Dmitry Nwanko. Cooper Michael O'Connell. Benjamin Paul Orr. Jack Francis O'Shea.
Cum laude.
Catherine Oswald, magna cum laude. Patrick Chapin Overton. Jillian Alexandra Cantor Owens. Israel Oidapo. Nicole Louise Palmer.
Tiffany Catherine Pan.
Wisen Pan. Anthony Clark Pandolfi. James Gregory Partika. Chadni Kishore Patel. Rosalind Patel, magna cum laude. Kyle Gill Patrick. Joseph William Paul IV.
Marin Elise Albeta Paul.
Daniel James Pedamonte. Catherine Elizabeth Peglo, cum laude.
Antonella Perez.
Anthony Joseph Perlino II. Alexandra Ashley Perrin. Morgan Taylor Perry, cum laude. Kelsey Nicole Pierce, magna cum laude.
Rachel Violet Piercy.
Gabrielle Thomas Pietrorazio, magna cum laude with honors in media and society. Genevieve Pietrzunki. Jeremy Pizzo. Angus Carl Pratt, summa cum laude. John Thomas Preston II. Jason A. Prince. Carly Ann Pruitt. Joshua Edward Pugalis, cum laude.
Molly Page Quinn, magna cum laude.
Nicholas Marcius Rahman. Jordan Dirkel Rivel, magna cum laude.
Jess Ishmael Ramtahal, cum laude.
Eileen Morgan Rath, magna cum laude. Griffin Coyne Reagan. David Henry Reinhardt, cum laude.
Elizabeth Bianca Richards.
Owen Richards.
Cody Douglas Roberts, cum laude. Kevin Michael Robinson. Martin Roque.
Veronica Ann Rogers.
Samantha Lynn Rosenberg, magna cum laude.
Matthew Carrington Roscoff. Kenesha Alicia Ross. Carter Robert Rostron. Elizabeth Ann Roeder. Christina Nicole Rosario. Lauren Elizabeth Rubino, cum laude. Nathan Royce Ruffle Dignan, cum laude. Freddie Salas. Brian Salazar. Aaron Logan Sanderson, cum laude. Giovanni Robert Sanseverino.
Barbara Nicole Santora.
Almumen Sarka. Emily Salvire, magna cum laude. Brian Schaumlaffel, summa cum laude with honors in economics. John Thomas Schenk.
Emma Kate Shiley, magna cum laude.
Nathaniel Shoshet. Annalise Rosina Schroeder, magna cum laude. Gina Marie Shabetta, cum laude. Justin R. Scott. Allison Paulin Scumaci. Charles Willingham Selden. Ali Maxine Seminer, magna cum laude with honors in biology.
Julia Haley Sarin.
Andrew Seta. Lily Tice Shea.
Jiannan Shen, magna cum laude.
Catherine Rose Sherwood. Adrian Albert Shin, cum laude. Christina Seiben. Chad Silver. Tiara Sivels.
Rachel Teresa Slagle, magna cum laude.
Shannon Kathleen Murray Smith, summa cum laude with honors in studio art. Caitlin Ann Sockett, cum laude with honors in chemistry. Connor Patrick Solomon. Jamie Elizabeth Susi. John Rocliffe Spafford. Jake Hayden Spreckman.
Meredith Lynette Steinfeld, cum laude with honors in sociology.
Jacqueline Steinman.
Georgina Marie Stern.
Zachary Sternbach, magna cum laude. Grace Elizabeth Stewart. Benjamin Joseph Stimson. Grace Isabel Stribling Hoff, summa cum laude. Corey James Sturgis. Liam Sean Patrick Sullivan with honors in religious studies. Tatiana Thorndike Suriel, summa cum laude. Sarah Margaret Sveen, cum laude. Whitney Robert Swanson with honors in anthropology. Eli Arthur Swing. Denoya Said, cum laude. Hanjong Tang. Reed Hamilton Tansel.
Ife Tao,
Zachariah Tate. Catherine Sienna Taylor, cum laude. Giuseppe Joey Damian Teresi. Divya Vijay Tawari, magna cum laude. Mohammed Mustafa Tiam. Pierre Henri Thibodeau. Alexandra Lynn Thrasher. Alexa Rose Tierney. Bennett Coden Tierney. Ian Samuel Todd. Hayes Patrick Torrance. Bailey Jordan Tranmer.
Anna Marie Trefellner,
James L. Truly III.
Kayla May Tucker,
Caroline Eaton Torino, magna cum laude. Alexandra Faith Turner. Erica Tweed, cum laude. Alita Rose Twilly. Mumtaz Uten. Henry D. Vashon, cum laude. Catherine Castle Van Blarcom. Jacob Harper Van Dyke.
Hallie Rachel Varenka, magna cum laude.
Brandy Vargas, magna cum laude.
Grace Elizabeth Forrest Marty, Phoebe Wilkins Wade,
Stephen Joshua Walker. Jacob Daniel Wallman. Matthew William Walsh. Hardy Noble Walther.
Yu Wang, Joshua Grant Wasserman, cum laude.
Diana Wasu. Bram Ariel Watkin, magna cum laude. Emily Louise Watson. Maya Claire Webber, cum laude. Alexandre James Wiesbein. Elijah Weiss. Owen Samuel Weiss. Carter Hilton Weidecamp.
Brittany Chantel Watts.
Connor White. William Jasper White with honors in physics.
Brita Marie Alexandra Whittam.
Nicholas Devereaux Wigglesworth.
Sarah Langton Wiles, summa cum laude.
Benjamin Donald Wilkie. Ruby Louise Williams, magna cum laude. Alberto Jesus Rey. Mallory Patricia Wright, cum laude.
Megan Wilmot. Angus Wilson. Bryce Elrika Winder. Olivia Catherine Wojnovic. Harold Frederick Wolf IV. Dylan Patrick Woods. Christina Lee Wirtz.
Nicole Wright, magna cum laude. Zuyo Wu. Zinju.
Natalie Grace Young, magna cum laude.
Michaela Zalin.
Summa cum laude.
Alexander Zakowski, magna cum laude. Yanfi Zhang, magna cum laude.
Congratulations to everyone. Many of you were mailed your diplomas. Congratulations to everyone. Many of you were mailed your diplomas last year when you completed in the class of 2020. However, if you are now complete and you have not yet received your diploma, we'd ask you to go to the registrar's office right after the ceremony, and you'll be able to pick up your diploma there if you've completed since last May. And we're very happy to give that to you. The registrar's office will be open for an hour after the ceremony concludes. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. Go ahead. Nice touch. So hello again, now to the graduated classes of 2020. You are not the pandemic class. That moniker was reserved for the class of 2021. You are the weird class. After all, you are the class that had 4 different college presidents during your time here. Weird. You are the class who named me and my economics department colleague, Tom Drennan, as your honorary members. In other words, you embraced people who espoused the dismal science. That is very weird. And for at least 10 of you, namely our MAT class of 2021 graduates, you had your master's degree commencement before your bachelor's degree commencement. Again, weird. Now, I don't know what exactly the rest of you have been up to for the past 12 months, but I'm guessing it was also kind of weird. After all, you got to spend your first post-college year in a world that was locked down and socially distanced, that was gripped by social and political unrest, that was obsessed with rules and rule following and rule not following. A world that wasn't fully ready to greet you into your next stage of adulthood and independence. Well, we here at HWS kind of wish you had all stayed here with us over the past year. Here on campus, we could have used your hard-earned wisdom, your irrepressible energy, and your well-honed sense of humor. Frankly, we had a hard time here without you. We made it through, and we kept the place neat and clean for your return, but we would have enjoyed your company. We felt terrible that we were unable to give you a proper send-off last spring, and that's one of the reasons why it is so great that we were able to celebrate you today, back where your college years started.
here back on the quad in front of Cox Hall. And I wasn't here to greet you on your arrival day, but I am honored that I am here to greet you today at a day marking both your commencement and your first college reunion, even though that is also kind of weird. Now, as a professor, I feel the need to digress momentarily regarding the meaning of weird, since I've now used that word a lot. Weird sounds like a relatively newish slang term, and we often use it informally to mean something that is strange or bizarre, but actually it is an Old English term, as in circa 1400, meaning having power to control fate, from the root were, to turn or bend. You probably weren't thinking of weird in that way, but maybe it is how you should think of it. Things that are out of the ordinary may come from the workings of the fates, or the weird sisters, as the three fates were known in Middle English terms, the three goddesses who control human destiny. So we don't have the power to control fate, but they apparently do. Now here are some other weird things that happened to you and us this past year. We all learned a lot. We learned more about both empathy and compassion, and how the two are not the same. I used to think they were the same, but now I understand that they aren't. For instance, I don't really know what you went through over the last year, so I can't feel what you felt or empathize with what you experienced, but I can feel compassion for you, because I am sure that it wasn't all good. We also learned a lot about epidemiology, which usually I just think of as a cool field of study that maybe I would have gone into if I hadn't become an economist, but this year it suddenly became a matter of daily discussion. And most years after leaving college, I learned some new stuff, but this year it seemed like way more than usual. It was kind of like being back in college, including eating a lot of takeout pizza. Besides learning a lot, we spent a weirdly larger than usual amount of time thinking about what is really important in life. A well-functioning healthcare system, for one thing, close friends, family, a secure internet connection, a meaningful career, but also casual acquaintances and free time to be spent both indoors and outdoors. The ability to travel freely, to meet new people, to experience new things. It wasn't that we weren't all thinking about these things from time to time, or even usually, before last year, but this time we all got to do it together. We didn't agree on everything, but we agreed on a lot of the same things. We were also weirdly in more agreement regarding the key moments of the past year. For pretty much all of us here today, except the really diehard Kansas City and Bills fans, we were just happy that the Super Bowl got to be played at all, and that we got to watch it on February 7th, 2021, let alone that Ali Marpet's team, as we think of the Buccaneers, won. Yep, good. We all cheered on the creation of the first 2 U.S. COVID vaccines, developed and approved in under a year, with the first jabs occurring on December 14th and 21st, 2020. We all mourned the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg on September 18th, 2020, and George Floyd's murder on May 25th, 2020, shook and continues to shake our world. Most years we aren't as coordinated on our happy and sad moments, because we usually tend to be more distracted by what else we are doing, and there wasn't as much else this year to distract us. But all this coordinated weirdness makes me imagine a world in which even more weird, strange, bizarre, and fateful things could happen. Like imagine a world in which violent acts did not happen. A world in which everyone felt that they were, and truly were, a full-fledged member of their community. A world in which we could have good outcomes for everyone. Good health, good education, a clean, safe environment, good lives. Let's turn the meaning of weird back in on itself and make it about the power to control our own fates and control them for the better. Think about our honorary degree recipients today. Peter Jemison decided to devote his life's work to art and also to reinvigorating and perpetuating a Seneca town site. Not a standard career path. Peggy Greenawalt was an economics major at a time when very few women chose that area of study and went on to get an MBA, again at a time when few women did that. And Michael Curry came to college, to Hobart and William Smith colleges, thinking he might be a lawyer. And then he took a religion course his first year here and ended up being head of the Episcopal Church. Those weird life choices led them to do good. Well, if weird can lead to good, then let's continue to be weird. You're always going to be weird anyway because of what you've just been through, class of 2020. But embrace that weirdness. Be at one with your weirdness and the weird collectivity of what we have all been through. Let that feed your compassion for others who experience their pain and losses just as you experienced yours. And above all, and I am not saying this just because I'm a college president and this is what we're supposed to say, the party line we're supposed to toe, but above all, keep alive your love of learning, your lifelong quest for knowledge, your self-education, and your others' education. We all educate ourselves and we educate others. Keep the dialogue going. Be the geeky person who wants to know more. Be the weirdo who cares about ideals, who doesn't give up on your own goals and ideals and helps others to reach theirs. You showed up here today, whether in person or watching the live stream, to celebrate your college education, even though we had already given you your diplomas last year. How weird is that? Dice, bios, psyche. Learn, life, soul. Embody those words and stay weird.
Stay weird.
And now, to deliver the benediction, the Right Reverend Prince Singh, 8th Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Rochester and a trustee of Hobart and William Smith Colleges.
May your boundless joy be like the lunar reflection of the sun. May you always find inner strength in adversity. When hard-pressed on every side, may you not be crushed. When perplexed, may you not despair. When persecuted, may you not be abandoned. When struck down, may you not be destroyed. May you always do more than breathe oxygen. May you always strive to be weird. May we who have lost loved ones find solace and strength. May all who have died rest in peace. Life is short, and we do not have too much time to gladden the hearts of those who travel this way with us. So be swift to love and make haste to be kind. And the blessing of God be always with you. Amen.
We ask that all guests remain seated until the recession of the platform party and until the faculty and graduates have exited the quad. Leading the recession of our newest graduates and representing the alumni and alumni associations of their 50th reunion classes are Nancy Nowak Rutherford, class of 1971, and Dr. Bradley Davidson, class of 1971. The 195th commencement of Hobart College and the 109th commencement of William Smith College are now closed.